So this is a presentation about new technologies course. So I choose React as a new technologies because of varieties reason. Now React framework is one of the popular framework in the world and used by a lot of big companies such as Facebook, Airbnb, and lots of companies. So without further ado, let's start with React. So what is React? Basically, React is a JavaScript library. What is focused on UI, one-way reactive data flow, and virtual DOM. So we can get really enriched UI by using React. So what are the benefits of using React? First of all, is really fast because of its light-headed, is very efficient for debugging since it has less code, and Reacts are reusable. So it calls component. We will talk later what is component and reusability do from the later slide. And it is very easier for us to test app before it's going live. So let's talk about reusability. The reusability is basically means that we can use code again and again without hard code it. Before we deep dive into it, let's start our application. So we can do it by entering npm start. So after pressing it, it will render in localhost 3000. So this is our app looks like. So reusability, how we can reuse code. So in our brand new React app, if you can see, there is a top bar, it's called add new expense. This is called components. So we can use component in React. We can use those kind of component again and again. So it's called the reusability. And then the whole box is also a component. And then those little box with the cost is also component. We can add infinite amounts of cost here. Let me show you how. So if I go add new expense, it will open the box. Let's say I buy bus ticket today. Let's type bus ticket, amount 350, and then today is 6. So if we add expense, so you can see the bus ticket is on the top bar, $3.50. So it just automatically make a new bar when we enter. This is how we can reuse the code again and again to make new data flow. So how a component is built? Component is built HTML, CSS style sheet, and JavaScript logic. Of course, we can deduct CSS since it's not mandatory. So, in other words, React allows us to create reusable and reactive components consisting of HTML and JavaScript and also CSS, but as I said, it's not mandatory. So how the component tree is work? Let's say our app is rendering one whole new expenses in the one single HTML page. If we go our code base, so this is our code base looks like, we can close it. So this is called app.js. So this file is responsible for collecting all of the data and rendered into only this single HTML page. We have lots of files, let's say charts, it has also subfiles, expenses, new expenses, and UI. But all of them gathered app.js file and it's rendered to the screen. Like I said. So finally, we can say by React, we can build our own custom HTML elements. So from the very beginning, we say that data is flowing one state. So how data is flowing from top to down, this mechanism called props. So let's say we are gonna be passing data in normal, like in list item, we can pass data goal item where we stored finish, but in React we cannot pass data like this. Components cannot be just use data stored in other components. But instead of these, we can use this kind of codes where props.text, and you can see the data is flowing from top to down and is updated on the screen like bus ticket. And then finally, I'm going to be talk about JSX. So JSX is an extension of a JavaScript language syntax, and it makes our life a lot of easier. We can write clean and readable code by typing JSX. But JSX is basically translated by a browser. Under the hood is something like, if we write our simple JSX, let me show you how it looks like. So if we go here, it's a simple JSX code, which is a lot more easier to read, and also when there's a problem arrives, we can really debug so quickly. But the browser doesn't understand those JSX code. The browser has a translator, so it translates to the normal code, in this case React.createElement and other things like JS, and then it rendered into the page. So let's go our app. So since this is our app, so if I click add new expense, it will pop up another box, and then we can cancel it. This is the UI. It can change based on how much we spend per month. You see this violet color, and April there is no expense, June, and then we can also filter out those kind of expenses. So let's say our university going to buy some iMac for our teacher. So amount 2,100 and it's going to be 28. Oh, we can add expense. So you can immediately see, based on August, those expenses goes too little, and then is already on the screen as well. So I make this React app with such kind of technologies like Visual Code for coding, Heroku for live server, and GitHub for stored our code. And finally, my React app is on the live server Heroku, so you can use anywhere in the world by clicking this app. Clicking this, so you can see this expense tracker personal.heroku.com app.com has my application, so you can use it. And this is my GitHub code base, github.com onrush1995/expense tracker. So you can also see my code here. And what else? And thanks for your patience, and also thanks for listening.